So this session we are just recording for the information
Yeah,
of everyone.
yeah, sure. I would request all the participants to kindly, get online and resume the session, please. I would request all the participants to please resume the session. Can everyone be seeing us?
Yeah, I think everyone can see us, sir. You can start.
Okay. So, good morning, everyone. Uh, yeah, let me introduce you, Mr. Krishna Kumar. So, Mr. Krishna Kumar needs no introduction. Actually, he's been known for his, training and delivery in perhaps all the big technology-driven corporates. He has about 24, 25 years of experience in sales, strategies, business development. He has worked so far with some of the big giants and corporates like Flipkart, Rediff, Microsoft. We spoke with him the other day, and then he decided to sort of conduct this training program, which without wasting much time on this, I would request he to deliver his talk more on to the subject, the contents, and Mr. Krishna Kumar, the floor is yours now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rakesh. I hope everyone is able to hear me. Just doing that mic testing 1 2 3.
Yes, we can hear you.
You
Yes,
you
sir.
can hear me, right, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this session on Saturday morning. Thank you very much, Mr. Akesh, for coordinating this. You have been very, very helpful. So, great word of appreciation to you. Dr. Patankar, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. It's an honor and a great privilege for me to be with you all and doing this session. Uh, just a little bit about myself. As Mr. Agesh said, I have about 24 years of work experience in the corporate world. Presently, I work or I run my own consulting, management consulting firm where I help corporates in digital transformation. Basically, how to leverage technology to grow your business. That's what I believe digital transformation is all about. I also help companies with their sales strategy, go to market, business development, process orchestration, and couple of other areas. Uh, Personally, I have been a long distance runner for almost 12 years now. I've also done Vipassana course and have been a regular Vipassana practitioner. So once again, thank you very much to each one of you of Jupiter Hospital for joining this. All the senior members. I'm sorry I may not be knowing each of you personally, but it's indeed an honor and a privilege to be with you all. Let me start with my presentation and hope you will be able to see my presentation. Technology has its own way to dodge us, but hopefully it should work today. And if it doesn't, then we'll see. So you're able to see my presentation, sir?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So, the way we are going to follow this is I will take you through the slides and I'm going to give you some exercises as well in between. If you have a pen and a paper, do it at your end. You don't have to show it. This is more of a self-reflection. And then I will ask you for some specific exercises before we end, and that followed by a Q&A. So it's 10:30 now, and what we will do is we will spend about 45 minutes on this particular session, and then we will do a Q&A. Now, this is what the agenda is, why this session, what this session is not, what this session is about, the first step, circle of life, and sowing seed. Now, why this session? A lot of you must be thinking, what is the objective of having this session? Or what is the genesis? So, last 18 months, पिछले 1.5 साल हम सबके लिए काफी स्ट्रेसफुल रहे हैं. And during this period, what I have found is I have also had my own roller coaster ride like everyone else. And what I found is that during this period, when I spoke with my friends, family members, with my colleagues, with my mentors, what I found is that every one of us had a very similar kind of a journey or a similar kind of an experiences. हमारी एंजाइटीज, हमारे कंसर्न्स, हमारा डिप्रेशन, हमारे थॉट प्रोसेस मोर और लेस सिमिलर थे. एंड देन what I also found is that while we were all similar, but there was some uniqueness as well, because the context for everyone is different, right? So given that particular stuff, I thought, let me put all my thoughts and put this into some kind of a deck and see if each one of us is able to connect with one another. What I would do is I'll just do a slight escape and see in case anyone is waiting in the lobby or anything like that. Okay, I think no one is there. I'll just do that kind of a health check periodically, just in case anyone is waiting. So again, you are able to see my slide, right? Mr. Rakesh, can you acknowledge?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what this session is not, it's very important for us to understand that it's not a therapy session, it's not a do's and don'ts session. My objective is neither to make you feel good or feel bad. And lastly and most important, it is not an inspiration or a motivation session. It is not कि ये session के बाद हर कोई बड़ा excited हो जाएगा और उसको लगेगा कि मैं दुनिया बदल दूंगा. बिल्कुल नहीं, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं होने वाला है. So what this session is about? This session is more of a self-reflection and what I call is a plowing a mind field. जैसे किसान खेतों में हल चलाता है, जमीन को तैयार करता है, बीज बोने के पहले जमीन को तैयार करना पड़ता है, वैसे ही आज हम हमारे दिमाग के खेती पे थोड़ा सा हल चलाएंगे, थोड़ा सा उसको ऊपर नीचे करेंगे, कोशिश करेंगे समझने की खुद को और कोशिश करेंगे जानने की खुद को इस सेशन में. So that is what this session is. It's more about self-reflection. And it is rather not even self-reflection. I would rather say it's like the starting point for the self-reflection. Now, let me share this particular slide. And what does this slide convey? You see 3 images. There is a ship which is sailing, there is a ship which is sinking, and there is a ship which is getting stuck. We all know a couple of months ago in the Suez Canal, Evergiven got stuck, right? Now, what does this mean? And what is an analogy for us? It's very simple. Ship represents our life and water represents our thought. हमें हमारे जीवन को हमारे विचारों के द्वारा ही आगे ले जाया जा सकता है. तो जैसे पानी में जहाज तैरता है, पानी में ही जहाज डूबता है और पानी में ही जहाज स्टक हो जाता है या गड़ जाता है, उसी तरह हमारे जीवन में भी हमारे विचार हमें या तो आगे ले जाते हैं या हमारे ही विचार कभी हमें डुबा देते हैं और कभी-कभी हमारे ही विचार ऐसा लगता है जैसे हम जीवन में किसी एक मुद्दे पे आके भटक गए हैं या जैसे बोलते हैं फंस गए हैं टाइप, राइट? एंड एट द एंड it's upon us how we use our thoughts either to sail, sink, or getting stuck. Now, the first step in any journey of, let's say, self-awareness, self-development, transformation is awareness and acceptance. Now, what is awareness? Awareness is all about just knowing things, right? किसी चीज को की जानकारी रखना, that is awareness. And the second thing is acceptance. उस चीज को मान लेना, that is acceptance. For example, let's say I am late for a meeting. So the first thing I need to be aware that I am late for a meeting. And the second thing that I need to know is I need to accept it. बहुत बार होता है हम मीटिंग में लेट आते हैं. Just a sec. I think there are a couple of people. I am hearing some voice. Let me admit that. Yes, okay. तो बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि हम लेट्स से मीटिंग में लेट गए And instead of being aware or accepting, we try to give some excuses. Arey traffic jam tha, अरे वो road में diversion हो गया, so on and so forth, right? And that creates a lot of stress and tension in our mind. But if we are aware that yes, this is what the problem is, and if we accept that this is what this problem looks like, then half the battle is won. So the first step in, let's say, the journey of self-transformation, or the first step in terms of managing ourselves or in our own well-being, is our own awareness and our acceptance of where we are today, right? And this is the most important thing in this particular whole exercise. Now, this circle of self, this well-being, basically it comprises of 6 components, or rather I have broken down into 6 components: family, work, meditation, hobby, right? Food, sleep, exercise. And we'll just sort of talk very briefly, and I'll give you small exercise. So if you can just pick up pen and paper, that would be really nice. So family, friends and mentor, what does that mean? तो पिछले 18 महीने में आपने देखा रहेगा, शुरू में तो बड़ा मजा आया, हम सब साथ में थे, अलग अलग तरीके से खाना बना रहे थे, और उसके बाद में हम लोग गेम्स खेल रहे थे, and it was like a very different kind of an experience, everyone being together. But for many of us, over a period of time, that also ended up in a challenge. For example, let's say there are working couple, husband and wife, and they have a small kid. Now, all of them were stuck in an apartment. They couldn't go out, right? The mates couldn't come in, and both of them are working couples, and both of them are in their calls, right from morning 9 o'clock till 11 o'clock in the night, the calls are going. Now, how do you manage a situation like this? You haven't managed a situation like this, right? And on top of that, for many of us, it was like our parents are in different town. Now that created another kind of a stress, right? And when all these things happened, many of us, we were not even aware that this is what is causing us stress, right? The other side of the story also, which I want to highlight is, and this is where I want you to sort of do 2 minutes of reflection, and I will just sort of give you some thoughts, and you can do this exercise little later as well, that on a piece of paper, write down, let's say, the names of each of your family member. Write down name of your father, your mother, your spouse, your children, your siblings, right? And against that, just write what is the kind of relationship normally you have with them. So let's say on one hand, the relationship is we are made for each other. We can't live without each other. The second could be that is like extremely positive relationship, made for each other. The second could be our relationship is good. We talk to each other, but it is not like it's like made for each other, right? We do have a very cordial and a warm relationship. The third could be our relationship is little average, right? We just sort of occasionally talk. It's not that we fight, but it's not that we are deeply connected. Then on the other side, there could be, let's say, the relationship is little less than average, below average, right? We talk only on need basis. जैसे अगर हम कभी कहीं शादी में मिलते थे या किसी फैमिली फंक्शन में मिलते थे, तभी हम अपने भाई बहनों से बात करते थे, right? And the fifth one could be extremely poor. We are not even on the talking terms, right? So I'll just give you 2 minutes, and in case anyone has got any observation, feel free. This is not a Q&A. Q&A we will do at the end. But in case anyone has any question, what needs to be done, happy to answer. But basically, on a piece of paper, on the top, one column you write member, and on other side you write quality of relationship. Member में आप लिखते जाइए father, mother, spouse, sibling, children. आप उनके सबके नाम लिखते जाओ और उनकी क्या आपकी relationship है. और third column में आप लिखते जाइए whether your relationship is, let's say, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which I talked about. 5 extremely good, made for each other. 4 good. 3 average. 2 below average, and 1 is poor. Extremely good is made for each other. We can't live without each other. 4 is more about it's good, but it's not that we are like, it's not like we are made for each other kind of a thing, right? And so on and so forth. So I'll just give you like 30 seconds or let's say a minute so that you can at least put this as as a placeholder in your sheet of paper. And in case anyone has any questions on this particular exercise per se, please do ask, and we'll just take sort of a 30 minutes pause over here. Okay, so I'm assuming each one of you might have noted that down. So now we move on to the next element. Now, physical intimacy. Now, we are all adults in this particular program, and so I can talk a little bit. I'm not an expert in this area, but something which, when I spoke with a lot of my friends and colleagues, this is one area which sort of bothered many one of them. And what was happening is that some of us, we have been going for work, some of us has been staying at home. There were a lot of young couples, there were just married couples, or there were even couples in the middle ages, right? And they were in a dilemma. How do we explore our, let's say, sexual relationship? Because there was a great fear. If I'm going out and if I come back, will I pass on this particular corona to my partner, right? And then will it get spread to a family? And because of that, the physical intimacy part took a big beating, and that continues to be so. And if any one of you has read Freud or Carl Jung or those kind of people, you would understand that physical intimacy plays a very significant role in the life, especially of a married couple, or rather in the lives of a married couple, right? So again, I'll not dwell too deep into it, but definitely this has been an area of concern for a lot of people, and it continues to be so. The third aspect is about work and money. Now, this is a very interesting aspect which I want to spend some time and talk to you about. Now, all of you are in a healthcare industry. Some of you are doctors, some of you are administrators. And I think last 18 months have been extremely stressful for people who have been in a healthcare industry, right? वो बोलते हैं करो तो मरेंगे, नहीं करो तो मरेंगे. And when I say मरेंगे, it is not in terms of, let's say, dying, but in terms of, getting the brickbats from the people, from the society, right? I'm sure a lot of you during this period, you being in Pune, and Pune being one of the worst affected cities, just like Nagpur and a couple of others in Maharashtra, I'm sure each one of you would have got innumerable calls on a daily basis, looking for hospital bed, looking for medicines, looking for some kind of a help, right? And on top of that, so imagine, one, you had calls from people either directly or indirectly knowing you. Second, you had a challenge of managing your own self. And third, which is most important, is also the fact that you had a challenge managing your work because you yourself were in a healthcare industry, right? So, so people who have been in a healthcare industry, I would say they had an extremely challenging time in the last 18 months, where you had to just, I wouldn't say balance, but you had to do a tight walk, right, on a very thin rope between your own self, the needs of the society, and the needs of your work, right? And the second aspect is about money. Now, this is something which I want to share with you, that money, friends, is very important in our life. Unfortunately, in Indian society, I find that we have a very love-hate kind of a relationship. लोग बोलते हैं, अरे पैसा क्या है, पैसा तो माया है, ये तो हाथ का मेल है, so on and so forth. But if you really look at, every one of us is running after it, right? So my point is very simple. Accept the fact that money is very important. Fiscal fitness, personal wealth, personal money management is extremely important. And how you marry your work with money is super critical. For example, all of you, I would say, who are there in this session, I think you also have an advantage. Today, you work in a healthcare industry, right? And healthcare industry gives you the best opportunity to serve people, right? So here you have two things. One, you have a satisfaction of serving someone, plus at the same time that work provides you, let's say, with your financial needs as well. Now how you balance it is very important, right? And I'll just give a small anecdote over here, and I would request you to reflect on your own work as well. So एक गांव में ऐसा था कि राजा का महल बन रहा था, और एक आदमी वहां से गुजरता है और वो पूछता है कुछ मजदूर वहां पे काम करते हैं कि आप क्या कर रहे हो। तो मजदूर कहते हैं साहब हम तो ईंटें जोड़ने का काम कर रहे हैं। बहुत बढ़िया। थोड़ा और आगे जाता है, कुछ और मजदूर काम करते रहते हैं, उनसे पूछता है आप क्या कर रहे हो। तो बोलते हैं साहब हम तो दीवार बनाने का काम कर रहे हैं। तो बोले बहुत बढ़िया। कुछ और आगे जाता है और फिर वो मजदूरों से पूछता है कि आप क्या कर रहे हो। इस बार मजदूर शायद सिर्फ गड्ढा खोदते रहते हैं। तो मजदूर कहते हैं साहब हम हमारे राजा का एक महल बना रहे हैं जहां राजा साहब बैठ के प्रजा के हित में निर्णय लेंगे, पॉलिसीज बनाएंगे। तो हम हमारे ऐसे महान राजा, उदारू राजा के लिए उनका एक महल बना रहे हैं। Now look at three things. The first set of workers, they said they were just laying bricks. The second set of workers, they said we were making wall, which was little better than laying bricks. But the third set of workers, they said, no, we are not just laying walls, or we are not just laying bricks. We are not just making walls or laying bricks. But what we are doing is we are creating an institution which will help the society at large, because our king is going to sit here and make policies for the betterment of the people, right? Same is the case with us in the healthcare industry. I may be, let's say, a cleaning staff, or I could be a surgeon performing an operation, right? But let us not forget, each one of us have got a role to play. A surgeon in operation theater can perform his surgery without any stress only when he needs that lot of administrative work is being taken care of. He knows that if power goes off, there is a generator. So there is someone who is responsible for the generator, right? He knows that when he gets into the operation theater, everything is going to be well laid for him. He knows the theater would have been clean. Imagine if a doctor has to come in the morning and clean the theater and then set up the instruments and do everything from the ground zero. Obviously, he would not be able to perform his duty, right? So similarly is the case today. There are members from HR, there are members from administration, there are members from IT. It is because each one of you who come together and you say, my objective is not just to keep the servers up. My objective is not just to process the payroll. My objective is not just to look after the administration and ensure that everything is clean. My objective is to serve the society, right? And when you have that overarching feeling towards yourself is when your work becomes purposeful and meaningful. I want to share a very interesting anecdote, another one, and then I would also in the meantime request you on your piece of pen and paper to reflect, how do you look at your work today, right? Is work something where you say अरे सवेरे उठ के कहीं जाके बैठना है? Or are you saying is work there because I want to earn money? Or are you saying मैं तो एक आईटी का बंदा हूं, या मैं तो एक मार्केटिंग का हूं, या तो मैं तो एक बिजनेस डेवलपमेंट का हूं? Are you identifying yourself? Or you are saying there is a higher purpose for yourself, right? So again, on a piece of paper, I would request you to reflect upon this. If you have any questions, please ask me. And as you are reflecting and writing, I'll just share a very interesting anecdote with which again you will be able to connect. And this is a lesson I think we had in 8th standard or 9th standard about a bus conductor. So here was a bus conductor who every day, राइट अभी हमको लगता है बस कंडक्टर का काम क्या है, सिर्फ एक टिकट देने का है, राइट? टिकट देना, लोगों से पूछना आपकी टिकट है नहीं है, एंड दैट्स व्हाट वी थिंक, एंड इट मस्ट बी अ वेरी डल बोरिंग जॉब. बट व्हाट दिस चैप्टर टॉक्ड अबाउट इज हाउ दिस बस कंडक्टर said his job is to make the journey of his passengers very pleasant. So he will talk to them, he will chit chat with them, he will crack jokes with them, right? And he would even know some of his passengers by name, right? Because they have been traveling on the same route. Rather, after some time, it would happen that people would want to take the bus which would come at this time, right? So imagine, we think, अरे bus conductor का एक काम क्या होता है? सिर्फ एक ticket देने का और ticket check करने का. But here this bus conductor, he said, no, that is not what my job is. My job is to make the experience of this particular journey very, very pleasurable for each one of them, right? So we'll take another 30 seconds, and I would request you to sort of reflect upon what does work look like. Again, if you have any question at this point in time regarding this particular exercise, please feel free to ask, and I'll just do a quick check if there are anyone else waiting in the lobby. None at this point. So anyway, we'll then continue. So another 20-30 seconds. As I said, just write the question, maybe, what does work mean for me? Is I am working only for money? Am I working because I can't stay at home? And be honest, right? And it could be a combination of all this also. I'm not saying it has to be only one thing. It could be a combination of all this. And then on a scale of 1 to 5, again rate it, where you say I'm working only for money, right? So then you say it's 5, or you say, no, work, money is equally important, but there are other aspects also important. Then you'll say money is at on a scale of 1 to 5 at 3, but not at 5. But be honest. Don't just for the heck of say write 1. And if you write 1, then I would ask you a simple question. What would happen if you lose your job tomorrow? And if the answer to that question is it's not going to make a difference in my life from a financial point of view, then you can say that, okay, work has only rating scale of 1 as far as money is concerned, or the significance of money in my work is at 1. Because even if I lose job tomorrow, I don't have any EMIs, I don't have any family commitments. मुझे मेरे लड़की की शादी करने के लिए पैसे का जुगाड़ नहीं करना है, बच्चे के पढ़ाई के लिए जुगाड़ नहीं करना है, ओल्ड एज पेरेंट्स के लिए कुछ जुगाड़ नहीं करना. ये सब चीजें अगर आपकी टेकन केयर ऑफ है, तो आपका कोरिलेशन वर्क और मनी का लेट्स से 1 है. बट अगर ऐसा नहीं है, आपकी ये सब रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज अभी भी है, तो ऑब्वियसली देन योर कोरिलेशन बिटवीन वर्क एंड मनी could be anywhere between 4 or 5. So, and again, put in a very, very honest way. So what is my relationship between my work and money? Second, also ask yourself this question. How do you look at your work? How do you identify yourself? Is work a source of joy, happiness, where you look forward to coming to work? Or it is more like, अरे यार काम करना है इसीलिए करना है, right? If it is a source or a joy, then put at 5. But if it is not a source of joy, then you can put it at 1, right? So another 30-40 seconds where you can at least just put down this question and put down your observation. Again, if you have any questions on this particular exercise, let me know, or else in about 30 seconds, we'll move on to the next piece. Great. So what we will do is now we will move on to hobby and leisure. Now, hobby, leisure, and entertainment is very important in our life. But at the same time, in last 15 months, 18 months, what has also happened is a lot of people, in the name of entertainment, they have been doing a lot of binge watching of this OTT shows on your mobile phone or on your computer, so on and so forth, right? But if you can cultivate a good hobby, right? Let's say a gardening or exercising or whatever it might be, right? Or about, let's say, writing or reading, or for that matter, you could have from a hobby of, let's say, a lot of people still cultivate this hobby of painting or embroidery, right? Those kind of hobbies and what kind of impact this hobby have in our life, I'm going to sort of share it in the next slide. I want to give a lot of time on food, sleep, and exercise. But before that, I just quickly want to touch upon meditation. And there is one thing which I want to share is a lot of people, right? They do meditation thinking that meditation will make them happy. Meditation will take all their sorrow and suffering away. But friends, let me tell you, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है. Meditation does not lead to happiness. And I repeat, meditation in itself does not lead to happiness. But if you cultivate a mind which is of meditation, or what we called a meditative mind, then what this meditative mind does is that it helps you to do your own self-reflection in a much better way. today you are writing answers to all these questions. Maybe some of these answers you would know, some of these answers you would not even know, and still something might be bothering you. What meditation does is that after a certain point in time, meditation serves like that crystal clear pool. हमने कभी कभी 5 स्टार होटल्स में देखा होगा कि वहां का जो स्विमिंग पूल रहता है उसका पानी इतना क्लीन रहता है और इतना स्टिल रहता है कि आपको नीचे तक की जमीन और टाइल्स और उसके पैटर्न नजर आते हैं, राइट? दैट्स एग्जैक्टली व्हाट द माइंड मेडिटेशन डज. इट सॉर्ट ऑफ काम्स योर माइंड. बट मेडिटेशन से क्या आपको खुशी मिलेगी, कि आपको हैप्पीनेस मिलेगा? ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है. Many a times rather you might get more agitated after doing meditation, because वो जैसे बोलते हैं ना, जब फोड़ा फूटता है तो ज्यादा दर्द होता है, right? So meditation is that kind of a process. It sort of unfolds our inner personality, or rather it exposes or it brings forth our inner personality, and that's what the role of a meditation is. Again, as far as meditation is concerned, there are various practices. I would not get into it. Vipassana is what I follow, and I have benefited from it. And I talk about Vipassana meditation simply because Vipassana meditation is conducted on the philosophy of no commercial interest whatsoever. So there are no charges. Near Pune, there is Igatpuri. You guys can go. Even in Pune, there are a lot of centers. So whenever you get an opportunity, it's a 10-day retreat. They don't charge you for staying. They don't charge you for food. They don't charge for anything. I am not canvassing for Vipassana. My only reason why I'm mentioning it, personally, I have benefited. And secondly, what I have found is, since it's a zero commercial interest, approach, that's why Vipassana is something that I feel and I connect with. So whatever meditation techniques you want to do, you are free to do it. Right now, what we will do, again, I want to give you a small exercise. Close your eyes, right? All of you, please close your eyes and just reflect or bring your attention on your breath, or bring your awareness to your breath. Close your mouth, close your eyes, take normal breath, natural breath. You don't have to do any pranayam. You don't have to do any deep breathing. The way the breathing is coming in and the way the breathing is going out, just observe that, just be aware of that. So we'll just take 30 seconds and we'll do this particular exercise of meditation. Close your eyes, close your mouth, and just observe the breath coming in from your nostrils and the breath leaving out from your nostrils. Don't modulate your breath. Don't try to change your breath. Don't try to make it fast or slow. Just your natural, normal breath. Just observe it. Okay. So whenever you have time, this is called Anapana meditation. It's part of Vipassana. So you should never do Vipassana unless and until you have attended the course. But this Anapana meditation, even if you do 5 minutes twice a day, and you can search for Anapana meditation by SN Goenka on YouTube, and you can have 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes guided session, which you can follow, right? Now, we will come to the last part, which is food, sleep, and exercise. Now, this is very, very important, and I want to spend some time. Now, what we have found, right, that if we have a particular daily routine of going to bed, if we have a routine when we have food, and if we can bring a small part of exercise in our life, it has a phenomenal impact on our well-being. And the reason why it happens is because it's a very simple thing. जैसे आप स्कूटर चलाते हो, आप कार चलाते हो, आप जितना उसको मेंटेन अच्छा करोगे, उतना गाड़ी का पिकअप अच्छा रहेगा, उतना उसका माइलेज अच्छा रहेगा, right? So there are a lot of studies. There is a Japanese Nobel laureate, I am not able to recollect his name, who won a Nobel Prize, and he came out all with this beautiful concept that there is a circadian cycle, and we need to sync with that circadian cycle, right? So for example, let me tell you my circadian cycle. What I found is I need anywhere between 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Not only that, what I found is that if I sleep at, let's say, 1 o'clock in the night, and after, let's say, 7 hours or 8 hours, even if I get up at 9 in the morning, my body is not well rested. And for next 2 days or 3 days, I'll have to keep sleeping quite often to sort of relax. And there have been times when I have slept at, let's say, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, almost at the early morning, because I was binge watching all these OTT platforms, and that had a very, very negative impact on my body, right? So now find your own body. Some of you will go to bed at, let's say, 9:30, 10. Some of you can go to bed by 10, 10:30. But ideally, if you can go to bed by between, let's say, 10 and 11 and get up by 6 and 7, that would have a phenomenal impact on your well-being, simply because just as the quality of the fuel or the quality of the maintenance determines or defines how that vehicle is going to be there, right? So that's very important. Now with sleep there is another thing which is correlated. अगर आप रात को टाइम पे सोओगे तो फिर आप सवेरे टाइम पे उठोगे, right? And if you get up on time, then you will do something called exercises. Now what kind of exercises one should do, how do you cultivate the habit of exercise, that's what we are going to talk in subsequent slide. And I'm going to make you do one exercise and what I would call sowing the seed, but that we'll talk little later. And the last is about the food, right? Now, since you guys are all in the healthcare industry, there is one question which I want to sort of leave you with. Now, there is a data, right, that the average lifespan of human being has increased. So if you go and see what was the average lifespan of a person in India in, let's say, 1950 or 1960 or even 1970, and what is the average lifespan today, definitely the lifespan has increased. I think it used to be around 55 years when we got independent, and today it's somewhere around 65 years on an average for both male and female together. So it's almost a 10 years increase, or even it could be 70, right? So that's a very good part, positive part. But there's a big but. The amount of diseases that we are also suffering from, right? And you all know that India is a diabetic capital of the world. If I'm right, there are almost like what, 20 to 30 million diabetic patients, 2 to 3 crores, if I'm right. There are a lot of young kids suffering from diabetes, right? So two things is happening, colliding simultaneously. On one hand, our average lifespan is increasing, whereas on another hand, the whole concept of healthy living is actually gone out of the toss. So while people, let's say 50 years ago, they had an average lifespan of only 50 years, but many a times we hear that they had much better quality of life, right? And that's because food played a very significant role, right? Today we binge on sugary drinks, we binge on pizzas and whatnot and junk food, and 3 times a week or 4 times a week, many of us, we have cultivated this habit of eating out, and that is taking the toll on our body, right? So imagine करो एक कार है, right? जो है तो 25 साल पुरानी, लेकिन ऐसी खटारा चलती है कि पता नहीं कब ब्रेक डाउन हो जावे, right? So today that's what is happening. People who are touching their 50s or mid 50s or 60s, हम डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं and they give us the whole laundry list of diseases that we are suffering from, right? So that's something that we need to avoid. And for that, here are some set of books. Here are some set of books which I wanted to recommend. Food Rules is a very interesting book that all of you should read. It's about Michael Pollan. Man's Search for Meaning and Jonathan Livingstone Seagull. These are some books on self-transformation. Flow is a book about how you identify yourself in work. And of course, Lincoln's Melancholy is about how Abraham Lincoln, who perennially suffered with depression, he was the most depressing person ever, right? And he was a president of United States, but he also created a history by, you know, emancipating America from slavery. So how did he do that? How did a man who is perennially suffering from depression could still do things which is larger than life, is what you can learn or read in this book. Now there is one more thing which I want to talk about. Now in this slide, we talked about multiple things, family and exercise and meditation. Now what is the role of, and you might be thinking, how does all this help in the well-being of people? And this is what or how it does. Now since you all know these are various, let's say, chemicals or hormones which are secreted in our body, and these hormones or chemicals are known to do some good to our body, right? So if you look at, when we have good relationship with our family, friends, or when we have pet in our house, it's oxytocin, which is also called a love hormone, which gets secreted and it flows in our blood, right? When we exercise, endorphin, which is a painkiller, right? It's a naturally occurring painkiller, is what gets secreted. When we do meditation, serotonin, which is a mood stabilizer, the mood swings that we experience get stabilized. And when we work, when we complete a task, right, or when we have uh, good eating habits, dopamine, which is a reward chemical, gets generated. And every time there is a reward chemical, that's why they say that if you have a big task, break it down into a smaller task. And every time you achieve a smaller task, celebrate victory, right? It's like milestones. आप अगर पूना से बंबई जा रहे हो तो आप बोलते हो अच्छा जी लोनावला आ गया है जी, अब और एक ये स्टेशन आ गया, अब ये और एक स्टेशन आ गया, अब वाशी आ गया, अब बंबई आने वाला है, right? You feel good about it, and that's exactly how you can sort of do it in your work life as well. Now we talked about food, exercise, and sleep. So now I want to put special, focus on this, sowing the seed of exercise. What I want all of you to do is choose one exercise that you would do on a daily basis, any one exercise. So let's say you choose squatting, or you choose push-ups, or you choose सूर्य नमस्कार, कोई भी आप एक एक्सरसाइज चूज कीजिए. आप डिसाइड कीजिए आप दिन में कितनी बार उसको करोगे, 2 बार, 4 बार, 5 बार, और छोटा सा रिपीटिशन लीजिए. Don't start with 10 or 15 or 20, right? Start with, let's say, I will do only 5 squats. So let's assume all of you don't have any spine problem, don't have any knee problem. So you can start with this particular exercise of, let's say, squats for this particular session. And we will do with only 5 slots, 5 squats. Third, fix a time slot. So don't say, अरे मैं दिन में कभी भी बार कभी कर लूंगा. Fix a time slot, either in the morning or in the evening, right? So let's say 7 to 8 in the morning, or 6 to 7 in the morning, and then let's say whatever time you want to put it in the evening. And two things, just do it. Now you would see, and try this for 3 weeks. Choose an exercise, decide the number of repetitions, and fix a time slot, and just do it on a daily basis. So what we are going to do now is, I'm going to switch on my camera, right? And if possible, I would request all of you to switch on your cameras as well for, let's say, just about 20-30 seconds. And we will get up from our chair now, and all of you, if you don't have any spine problem, you don't have any knee problem, please get up from your chairs and just do 5 squats, nothing more than that, just 5 squats, and I'll also do with you. Great. So I'm assuming that each one of you got up from your chair and you just did 5 squats, right? Now I want you to continue with this particular small seed that we have sown today on a daily basis. आप कभी भी, अगर आपने देखा होगा, ये 5 स्क्वाट करने के लिए आपको 30 सेकंड से ज्यादा नहीं लगे होंगे. और मैं आपको सिर्फ 5 ही कर रहा हूं, मैं ये नहीं कर रहा हूं कि एक दिन 5 करो, फिर एक हफ्ते बाद 10 करो, फिर नहीं, अगले 3 हफ्ते तक या अगले 3 महीने तक आप सिर्फ रोज 5 बार ही स्क्वाट कीजिए। लेकिन जैसे मैंने आपको बताया था, मैं फिर से आपको प्रेजेंटेशन में लेके जाता हूं और ये बहुत जरूरी है। ये बहुत जरूरी है। आपने 5 स्क्वाट चूज किए, आपने स्क्वाट्स चूज किए, आपने 5 रिपीटिशन चूज किए, आपने बोला मैं रोज सवेरे 6 से 6:30 या 6 से 7 के बीच में करूंगा या करूंगी, और रोज आपको करना है। और आप देखिएगा कि ये करने से आप जो कर रहे हैं, so the biggest thing that will happen is it's not that your body that needs exercise, it's your mind that needs exercise. What this will do is it will tell your mind, जैसे हम रोज सवेरे उठ के ब्रश करते हैं, राइट, हम स्नान करते हैं, हम सोचते नहीं, हम ब्रश कर लेते हैं, हम चाय पी लेते हैं, हमको सोचना नहीं पड़ता। लेकिन जब हम एक्सरसाइज की बारी आती तो हम, अरे आज नहीं, आज मेरा पैर दुख रहा है, आज ऑफिस में जल्दी जाना है, आज ये काम है, मैं अभी घर पे नहीं, मैं तो ऑफिस में जाके कर लूंगी, 5 ही तो करना है, कभी भी कर लूंगी। बिल्कुल नहीं। आपको एक टाइम डिसाइड करना है और उसी टाइम पे उतने ही रिपीटिशन करना है। और इससे क्या होगा कि आपका जो मस्तिष्क है, आपका जो ब्रेन है, उसको ट्रेनिंग मिलेगी कि मुझे रोज ये काम करना है, राइट। एंड एज थॉमस एडिसन सेड, लाइफ इज ऑल अबाउट 99% perspiration and 1% इंस्पिरेशन। नाउ यू माइट बी थिंकिंग कि ये 5 स्क्वाट्स करने से क्या फायदा होगा, राइट। क्या मैं जॉन अब्राहम जैसा दिखूंगा? क्या मैं दिशा पाटनी जैसी दिखूंगी? क्या मैं मलाइका अरोरा जैसी दिखूंगी? क्या मैं मिल्खा सिंह जैसा स्ट्रांग बन जाऊंगा और मुझे ओलंपिक्स में शायद क्या मेडल मिलेगा? क्या मैं पीवी सिंधु जैसा मुझे सिल्वर मेडल मिल जाएगा? बिल्कुल नहीं, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं होगा। लेकिन जैसा आपने ये स्लाइड में देखा है कि 1 to the power of 365 is 1 and 1.01 to the power of 365 is 37.7, right? So what will happen with this 5 squats? Let me give you your own maths. If you do 5 squats on a daily basis and assume you do it for 300 days, not even for 365 days, let's say you do it for 300 days, you will end up doing 1500 squats every year. 1500 squats आप करोगे. Now, what does 1500 squats mean? You may not, let's say, become a Milkha Singh, or you may not become a John Abraham or Disha Patni or whoever it is, but whoever Krishna Kumar who was there before, who did not do 1500 squats, and Krishna Kumar after 1500 squats would definitely have a much more stronger muscles than earlier, right? Similarly for each one of you, right? When you do this 1500 squats, you would realize it's by default it has to happen. Your thigh muscles, your knee muscles, your back muscles are going to be much, much stronger than what they were. And that is what we need to achieve, right? We are not here to sort of show, oh, look, I have got six pack abs or anything like that. Our objective is to make our own self in a much better way. And every time when you do this, you will realize that you are training your mind for a very different kind of new habit, sort of imbibing or creation in your own lives. And this is my last slide, and we are on 11:15, and then very soon I'll just throw open for Q&A. Now, when you do all these things, friends, let me tell you something. As I started my conversation, you don't have to sort of feel good or feel bad about yourself, right? But at the same time, what I want you to understand is be nice to yourself, be kind to yourself, because change will not happen overnight. What I'm expecting is tomorrow morning, or let's say from today onwards, you do only 5 squats and you do it for next, let's say 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and let your body yourself say that, okay, now from 5 I want to move on to 7, or I want to move on to 10. Let it not happen, आज 5 किया, कल 10 करूंगा, परसों 15 करूंगी, और फिर day after tomorrow, everything goes to back to square one. Don't do that. And at the same time, what I want you to also embrace or understand is all these things takes lots of effort. आपको लग रहा है अरे 5 स्क्वाट ही तो करना है, बट आप देखोगे कि जब आप कल सवेरे उठोगे शायद आप 2 दिन 3 दिन बराबर कर लोगे, चौथे दिन नहीं यार आज तो बहुत जल्दी है, आज तो बॉस ने एक वो प्रेजेंटेशन मांगा है, आज तो वो मैडम से एक मीटिंग है, एंड इवन दैट 30 सेकेंड्स टाइम यू विल से दैट अरे यार ये नहीं, ये मैं ऑफिस में कर लूंगा. नथिंग लाइक दैट. You have to do at the allotted time, but at the same time be kind to yourself, right? Don't flog yourself saying no, this change I have to do, I must do on an overnight basis. Some changes take time, so that exercise from 30 seconds to 30 minutes, let it happen after 1 year, no problem. So right now you do a 30-second wala exercise. After 6 months, after 8 months, after 9 months, you will see that 30 seconds will automatically increase to 30 minutes, right? But don't jump today and don't stretch or stress or stretch yourself for making complete change on an immediate basis. And with that, we come to our last slide. Thank you very much. And with this universal prayer, we pray for everyone's happiness, we pray for everyone's goodness, we pray for everyone's health, and we want that every one of us should always have auspicious thoughts, good thoughts, and at no point, let's say, suffering or pain or sorrow should anywhere come even closer to them. With that, I close my talk. Thank you very much. And now we will open this for Q&A and for interaction. Please do not hesitate. There are no right questions. There are no right answers. It's just more of an interaction about trying to sort of share from each other's journey and from each other's personal experience, right? So thank you once again, everyone, for joining this session. And I throw open this session for Q&A now.
Right. Does anyone of us have any question? Hello. If anyone of us has any question, we can ask these questions directly to KK.
You can also, put your questions in this. There is something called show conversation. You can put your question there. You can ask me, and I think I think we are all friends. We are all colleagues. Do not hesitate. Request all of you to please feel free to ask whatever questions you have.
So, KK, until the questions come from any one of us, let me ask you that when you took us through these, all the slides, there was one, particular slide wherein you spoke about hobby, leisure, and entertainment, right? And you had also mentioned that you would subsequently take us onto that slide. If you can just throw more light on that.
Yes, sir. Are you able to see?
Yes.
Yes, sir. So, do you have a question? Maybe I did not get your question, sir.
Yeah, so while you mentioned about hobby, leisure, and entertainment, you said that let me park this here, and when that subsequent slide comes later, I will throw more light on that.
Okay, actually that was for food, sleep, exercise, but anyway, I will talk about hobby, leisure, and entertainment. This is the slide which I wanted to talk about. So if you see on the right top corner where I have written friends and family and oxytocin, playing with a dog, playing with a baby, holding hand, hugging your family, giving compliment, right? Or yeah, so all these things are the hobbies, right? Or recreation kind of a thing that we have. So any hobby that we cultivate, sir, two things happen. Firstly, our mind gets positively distracted. And if you look at all Nobel laureates, there's a very interesting website, nobelprize.org, if I'm right, of where it's an official website of Nobel Prize winners and the Nobel Prize Society, which is a Swedish society. Every Nobel laureate that you speak to or listen to would tell you that how important it is to distract your mind positively. So hobbies and recreation help you to distract your mind in a very, very positive manner, and it also enhances the creativity of your mind. और जो आपका जो कोर काम होता है उसमें आपको बहुत मदद मिलती है जब आपकी कोई भी हॉबी और कोई भी आपका लेट्स से रिक्रिएशन हो। अगर आप गार्डनिंग भी करते हो तो आप काफी, या कुकिंग भी करते हो, बहुत लोगों की कुकिंग हॉबी होती है, तो आप जिस तरह से कुक करते हो उस प्रोसेस को आप एंजॉय करते हो, इस तरह के पॉजिटिव केमिकल्स आपके ब्रेन में, माइंड में जनरेट होते हैं, और फिर वो आगे जाके आपका जो कोर काम है उसमें आपको बहुत मदद देते हैं। सो दैट इज व्हाट आई वांटेड टू हाईलाइट सर।
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot. I would request the other participants also to ask the questions if they have any.
Sir, I would like to ask a question.
Yes, madam.
Sir, according to our body's biological cycle, is there a specific time we should sleep or any specific time we should avoid for sleep?
Very good question, ma'am. Thank you very much. I did not see your name.
Namrata, sir.
Namrata, ma'am. Okay. So, मैम दो चीज मैं आपसे कहना चाहूंगा। जैसे मैंने अपने लिए देखा है कि मैं अगर रात को 10 से 10:30 के बीच में आइडियली सोता हूँ और सवेरे 6:30 के 7 के बीच में उठता हूँ, तो मुझे बड़ी पीसफुल स्लीप, मतलब एक अच्छी स्लीप हो जाती है साइंटिफिकली। And I will try and get the name of this particular Japanese doctor. He has done a research, and what he has found is people who work in night shifts, and as a doctor many a times, or as a healthcare professionals, you definitely have to work in night shifts as well. Workers have to work in factories in multiple shifts, right? IT employees in BPOs, they have to also work in the night shift. And what they have found, I mean, whether we accept, not accept, is waking late in the night has a detrimental impact on the life of, or on the health of a person. This has been proved scientifically through research. And one more thing which I want to highlight, I don't know how far it is true. Someone shared with me, so I'm sharing. I haven't verified this. They say that when we sleep, let's say between 9 p.m. to, let's say, 12 a.m., that is midnight, right? उस वक्त क्वांटिटी ऑफ स्लीप और क्वालिटी ऑफ स्लीप का रेशियो 1:2 होता है। मतलब रात को 9 से 12 बजे के बीच में आप जितने भी घंटे सोते हो, लेट से आप रात को 10 बजे सो रहे हो, तो 10 से रात को 12 यानी 2 घंटे सोए, तो 2 घंटे की स्लीप इज इक्विवेलेंट टू 4 आवर्स ऑफ क्वालिटी स्लीप। रात को 12 से सवेरे 3 के बीच का जो स्लॉट होता है उसका रेशियो 1:1 होता है, और 3 के बाद का जो स्लॉट है, राइट, उसका आधा हो जाता है, और 6 के बाद का जो स्लॉट है वो नेगेटिव में चले जाता है। मतलब क्या कि अगर हम लेट्स से रात को 10 बजे सो रहे हैं और सवेरे 6 बजे उठ रहे हैं, तो 10 से 12 2 घंटे इज इक्वल टू 4 आवर्स ऑफ स्लीप। 12 से 3 विच इज लेट्स से 1:1 का रेशियो, सो इट्स अ 3 आवर्स, सो 4 + 3 7 आवर्स। और 3 to 6 का जो लेट्स से स्लॉट है, या 3 to 7 का स्लॉट है, वो 1:2 का रेशियो है, तो 7 + 2 9 hours kind of a thing, right? So it may vary from person to person. I wouldn't personally, I don't have experience of, let's say, going to bed at 9 o'clock and getting up at 4 o'clock on a regular basis. But if we sort of reflect back, और हमारे जो पूर्वज बोलते थे कि जल्दी सो के सवेरे जल्दी उठना, और बहुत लोग अभी भी 4 साढ़े 4 बजे उठते हैं, तो मुझे लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं ये जो लॉजिक जिसने भी मुझे दिया है और ये जो साइकिल है इसमें मैच खाता है। बट ये तो पक्का है कि अगर आप रात को लेट सोते हैं, लेट से 11:30 के बाद सोते हैं, उसमें मल्टीपल प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं। पहले तो आपकी बॉडी रेस्ट नहीं होती, और दूसरा बहुत जो दुष्परिणाम होता है, सभी लोगों के लिए कहना चाहूंगा, और ये मेरे साथ भी हुआ है, हमें भूख लगने लगती है, राइट? तो फिर हम देखते हैं अरे घर में क्या है, फ्रिज में क्या है, और फिर जनरली ब्रेड होती है, बिस्किट होता है, हम वो खा लेते हैं। सबसे पहले तो हमने एक अनहेल्दी चीज खाई है, और उसके बाद में वो खाने के बाद हम अगर आधा पौन घंटे बाद सोते हैं तो उसका भी दुष्परिणाम होता है, राइट? So late night sleeping has a detrimental impact, both scientifically as well as, let's say, from what our forefathers have shared with us. Hope I'm able to answer your question, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, KK,
Yes.
Rajendra here. I have a
Yes,
question
sir.
to ask you.
Yes, doctor.
So, what you have told in the last 60 minutes, first of all, wonderfully explained very basic things which we should follow but do not follow.
Correct.
So, I personally felt that if we follow it along with our family members, I think the outcome or the consequences would be multiplied.
Very true, sir.
From the organization's perspective, do you
Hmm.
think there could be something which we could work together as an organization so that the whole channelization of this positive energy is in one direction and it helps not only the individual but also the workspace and the people around and thereby helping the organizations to grow? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. So, one of the things which I have been contemplating and I have been telling people, I don't know how far it is feasible. So, let's say the admin staff of Jupiter Hospital, right? If all of you decide कि यार हम सब मिलके and try this as an experiment कि हम सब मिलके 5 स्क्वाट्स रोज करेंगे और इसका टाइम है लेट्स से शाम को 4:30 बजे का, राइट? सो put an alarm on your mobile phones for 4:30 which says 5 squats, कैलेंडर पे डाल दो, रादर मैं आपको बोलूंगा। और आप जब भी हो, अगर आपके साथ लेट्स से आईटी हेड की मीटिंग चल रही है, राइट, या मैं भी आया हूं एज अ गेस्ट आपसे मिलने के लिए, जैसे 4:30 का आपके फोन पे अलार्म बजा, आप अपने चेयर से उठ गए और आपने 5 स्क्वाट्स कर लिए। और आपको पता है कि उस वक्त आपके साथ में हॉस्पिटल में जितने भी एडमिन स्टाफ है जो उस वक्त लेट्स से किसी क्रिटिकल सिचुएशन में नहीं है, and I'm obviously, I hope everyone is not in a critical situation every day unless and until you are a frontline worker. So imagine that power, right? And Dr. Patankar, I think you have actually sowed a very powerful thought. मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि अगर हर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ये करे, 30 सेकंड का काम है और रोज करना है, I am sure there is going to be a tremendous bonding as well between one another. So two things will happen. One, explosion of, let's say, positive energy and exploration of positive bonding amongst the employees. So I think maybe, to start with, at Jupiter Hospital you can say that every day whatever time you want, 4:30 और सिर्फ 5 स्क्वाट्स करने हैं। एंड व्हाई आई टॉक अबाउट स्क्वाट्स, क्योंकि स्क्वाट्स एक ऐसी एक्सरसाइज है जिससे आपको खुद का समझ में आ जाता कि मैं कितना फिजिकली फिट हूं या नहीं हूं, और बड़ी सिंपल एक्सरसाइज है, ज्यादा कुछ टाइम भी नहीं लगता, 5 करने के लिए मुश्किल से 15 से 20 सेकंड लगेंगे। सो वंडरफुल आइडिया, आई थिंक वी शुड embrace that, Dr. Patankar.
Thank you so much. And just wanted to share, I am in Jupiter. We have a system where there's a bell, and right now it is very meticulously followed in the FNB department of our hospital, where after the bell rings at a particular frequency, people from entire FNB area go and wash their hands.
Wow.
So, whatever situation they may be, they go and wash their hands. So something
Wonderful.
like that we would want to continue with other areas as well, where nursing starts. I mean, everybody sanitizes their hands
Correct.
when the bell rings or when the
Very,
timer goes on. But I think this could be a good idea to be on the good physical fitness side. Thank you.
absolutely. Yeah. Yes, any more questions, please? Please feel free to. I mean, this is not interview or anything like that where any one of you would get pulled for asking anything called a wrong question. Rather, once Rabindranath Tagore, he said that there are no wrong questions, there are only stupid answers. And he said this in context of school student. I think once he was visiting some school, and a teacher or a student, he said, sir, I think my question could be stupid. And that's when in front of everyone he said that there are no stupid questions, there can only be stupid answers, if at all there is one. So do not hesitate, please feel free to ask, because the more you ask, I also learn. Because Khalil Gibran, as he says, that when we speak, we are not just a speaker, but we are also the listener. And the words that we share with others also empowers us, right? So,
So well said.
yes.
Does, does any one of us having questions?
Sir, I would like to ask another question.
Sure, ma'am. Go ahead.
Type of food we intake, it affects our body and mind. So, are there any specific foods like, let's say, non-veg foods or any spicy food if we have? How does it affect our mind? And like things like fasting, do they help us for betterment of our body and mind?
Okay. So there are two questions you have asked. One is around
Yes.
quality of food and another around fasting.
Yes.
Let me answer the second question first because it's much more easier. Again, this Japanese Nobel laureate, this scientist, has proved that fasting is very beneficial. He he has even said that once a week we should fast, right? And if you see every religion, just not Hindu religion, मुसलमानों में रोजा होता है, क्रिश्चियंस में लेंट होता है, हम लोगों में भी काफी नवरात्र होता है और बाकी सब चीजें होती है. सो fasting has been an integral part of every religion, and I believe religion is not just about अरे कोई भगवान की पूजा करना है. Again, this session is not about that, but मेरा ये मानना है कि रिलीजन का ऑब्जेक्टिव है हम सबको एक अच्छा इंसान बनाना और हमारी एक अच्छी जिंदगी होना, राइट? हाउ कैन वी बी अ गुड person, a good human being, and how we can lead a good life. That is what the objective of a religion is. But coming back to your fasting, I strongly believe, not only I strongly believe, it's a research which has proved that fasting is very good. Second, you asked about whether, let's say, quality of food will impact our life or not. And I'll give you a simple example, right? हम सब गाड़ी चलाते हैं, हम गाड़ी में पेट्रोल डालते हैं. बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि हम किसी एक अलग पेट्रोल पंप से गाड़ी में पेट्रोल डाल लेते हैं और फिर हमारे गाड़ी से बहुत धुआं छोड़ने लगती है गाड़ी, और हम बोलते हैं यार उसका जो पेट्रोल है ना उसमें कुछ गड़बड़ी होगी, राइट? या हमने बहुत बार देखा ऑटो वाले अपने गाड़ी में पेट्रोल के साथ केरोसिन भी मिलाते हैं और उनका क्या धुआं छोड़ता है. So whatever we take is what will be out. In output is a function of input, whether it is in software, whether it is in life, whether it is in habit. And food is like a source of energy, right? हम जो खाना खाते हैं वही एनर्जी में ब्रेक होती है, वही हमारे सब बॉडी पार्ट्स को मिलती है. तो ये तो जैसे एक कार में या एक स्कूटर में एक इंजन में जो एक पेट्रोल डालते हैं, वही रोल फूड का हमारे बॉडी. सो दैट्स the second part on the quality of the food. Now, between veg and non-veg, now this is something which I want to share. It's a very good question. The same question was asked in another session which I did for Maharashtra Electricity Regulatory Commission just last week. Between veg and non-veg, should you prefer some food over the other, or is vegetarian a sattvic and non-vegetarian a tamasic food, right? And I'll answer that non-diplomatically, very, very openly. Now, firstly, let me tell you, I'm a vegetarian. Okay, I don't even take eggs. Now, I don't say this out of let's say any character or charitra point of view कि अरे जो vegetarian food खाते हैं वो बड़े चरित्रवान होते हैं और जो non-veg खाते हैं वो बड़े चरित्रहीन होते हैं. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है मैडम. बट ये मेरा पर्सनल चॉइस है, ये मेरे फैमिली, because I'm a Marwadi, Marwadis don't eat non-veg, so it is something to do with, let's say, a family upbringing or culture or the community that I belong to, right? If I was born in some other family, I would have taken non-veg very easily. So that's my personal thing, that I'm a vegetarian. I would also recommend people to be vegetarian, right? And why I would do so? Firstly, now if you look at between plants and animal, plant also have life, animals also have life, but animal life has couple of other things also which let's say a plant life would not have. For example, animals procreate like us, right? Animals have far deeper feeling. Even for that matter, plants have feeling, and there are enough research that has been done on plants and how plants talk to each other and how they communicate to each other. But if you really look in the order of, let's say, priority, if I say human beings are there, animals are there, and plants are there, right? These are the three, let's say, categories of species on this planet. Then my immediate species is animal, and I would not want to harm them because I share far more commonality or similarity with animals than with plants. And obviously, at the end, I have to survive. So I would, let's say, go for a vegetarian food or plant food. But let me tell you, ma'am, there is nothing like this that vegetarian food is only a sattvic food and non-vegetarian food is non-sattvic food. At least I don't believe in that. That's my stuff. Another thing which I would tell you, and this is what someone shared with me, if you really look at a lot of Adivasis, right? They stay in forests. They are so simple people, right? The kind of exploitation that we city people do, they don't even do that. Rather, they take care of their forests, they take care of their animals also, right? But they also take non-vegetarian food. So what I want to sort of sum up is, firstly, personal choice, I would always be a vegetarian. Given a choice also, I would not want to be a non-vegetarian. Second, between plant and animal, I would rather spare animals and, let's say, eat plants for my survival. And lastly, I would say, ma'am, non-vegetarian food, I would not say is a non-sattvic food. It's a personal choice, but the intent with which you eat. For example, let's take palak. Now, if I am eating only palak, palak मैं सिर्फ palak ही खाऊंगा तो वो palak भी मेरे लिए हानिकारक है, राइट? अगर लेट्स से पालक पनीर की सब्जी बहुत अच्छी बनी है और मैंने बहुत सारा पालक पनीर खा लिया, पनीर भी स्वाद के लिए अच्छा है, पालक भी स्वाद के लिए अच्छा, लेकिन मैंने अपने स्वाद के लिए खा, तो वो भी हानिकारक है। उसी तरह जब नॉन वेजिटेरियन फूड अगर आप स्वाद के लिए खाते हो, तो वो मेरे हिसाब से, लेट्स से फ्रॉम अ ahimsa point of view or a hinsa point of view, that's not what is advisable. Just as too much of eating palak and paneer is also not advisable. But if someone is eating, let's say, a non-vegetarian food, more from a survival point of view, more to sort of, take their life forward, or let's say if a sportsman, that's a need for a sportsman. I haven't done a study on that subject. Then those are a very different situation, right? So just to sum up, between veg and non-veg, my personal choice is vegetarian. But as long as the intent of eating food is for nourishing the body, and if we eat with that intention, then whether it's a vegetarian or a non-vegetarian food that one takes, both of them, according to me, is equally sattvic. That's my thought, madam.
Thank you so much, sir.
Hello.
Yes,
My
sir.
name is Milind Patil.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, actually, I want to know. We are from hospital and technologies, handling technologies from my hospital also.
Yes, sir.
So, just want to know that sleep. What you are talking about sleep, it should be a 8 hour sleep. Should be a good sleep. But in the night, we are getting calls from hospital for supports. So our sleep is getting disturbed. So how we will manage that?
Sir, very good question. And let me give a answer in this way. Not only hospital. For example, let's say that now you are getting calls in the night and your sleep is, let's say, getting disturbed. But what about those doctors? What about those nurses? What about those support staff who is ensuring a supply of oxygen? Usko to wahan baithna hai, right? Now, one thing which is very clear, research has said that if we are continuously disturbing our sleep cycle, and our normal sleep cycle has to be in the night, not during the day, it is going to have an impact on our lives. And definitely, whether you are a doctor, whether you are an IT professional, whether you are a nurse, or whether you are a worker, if late night is going to have a detrimental impact, it is going to have a detrimental impact. It's as simple as that. So that's point number one. Point number two, it's also about a personal choice, right? So for example, today you are in an IT profession, and I'm just giving an example. You are working in a Jupiter hospital. No one is forcing you कि सर आपको जुपिटर हॉस्पिटल में ही काम करना है. Tomorrow you may say, I will take half the salary, and I will go and work in some small IT company where I don't have to work after 8 p.m. It's a personal choice, right? So while today demands of our working nature, demands of our lives, so is it same question what I answered earlier? खाना, अगर आप खाना स्वाद के लिए खाते हो और अगर आप नॉन वेजिटेरियन खाते हो या वेजिटेरियन भी खाते हो तो वो अच्छा नहीं है, राइट? उसी तरह से जब आप ये काम कर रहे हो, आर यू डूइंग इट with what intent you are doing it? I would say that is what matters. Here, if you see that your sleep is getting disturbed on a regular basis and it is having a severely detrimental impact on your health, then you may take one call that between your health and career, what you want to choose. I know a lot of people who have left IT industry at senior positions who had to support, let's say, client in UK or US, but that's their personal call. And I also know a lot of people who managed it for 2 or 3 years, and they said after that, once we reach at a senior position, we may not have to do this on a regular basis. And lastly, sir, since you are from IT industry, this is what I want to share. I may not have solution for, let's say, a doctor or a nurse. If he asks me, KK, we have to work in the night shift, what do I do? I said, sorry, ma'am, there is no choice. Because कल अगर मैं patient बन के आता हूँ, तो I expect a doctor or a nurse to be there, right? But if you are an IT professional, sir, what you can do is you can plan your systems. आपका architecture आप ऐसे बनाइए, आपके processes ऐसे बनाइए कि रात के वक्त या किसी भी वक्त, रात के वक्त ही क्यों, दिन के वक्त भी आपका downtime minimum से minimum रहे, right? So, for example, I consult with a lot of companies. I help them with their KRA, KPIs, and goals and objectives. And for the IT, since you asked this question, one of the KRA KPIs that we put is what should be the downtime and how much support is required, right? So if you build your architecture, if you build your systems, if you build your processes in such a manner कि जैसे आज आपकी एक ऑक्सीजन लाइन है हॉस्पिटल की जो आपके आईसीयू में जाती है, आपके बेड्स में जाती है, आपके ओटी में जाती है, आप वहां कहीं कभी भी डाउन टाइम एक्सपेक्ट ही नहीं करते हो, राइट? द ऑक्सीजन line cannot have a downtime, even of let's say 5 minutes. Similarly, can you plan your IT infrastructure and your IT architecture in such a manner that you would never have what you call unplanned downtime at all? And if you can achieve that, I believe you will have a greater purpose. You as a person will also enjoy. You as a person may not have to, say, get calls in the night or any time later to do support, and you would end up building a robust system for which you can take great pride as well. That is what I would like to say, sir. Hope I was able to answer your question, sir.
Yes, thanks, sir.
Okay, sir.
Sir, do power naps help in this case?
Very much, ma'am. I do take power naps at times, but power nap has to be between, let's say, 3 minutes to 7 minutes maximum. Because अगर वो 7 मिनट से ज्यादा हो जाती है तो फिर वो नैप नहीं रहती, वो नींद में तब्दील हो जाती है जब आप आधा घंटा पौन घंटा सोने लगते हो. So power naps, I have found it very, very refreshing and recharging and re-energizing. If any one of you can cultivate, and again, power nap can be cultivated. It is not that एक बंदा power nap ले सकता है, दूसरा नहीं ले सकता है. You just have to practice it for 10-15 days, where you put an alarm for, let's say, 3 minutes to 7 minutes, whatever it is, and it will recharge you. So if you can do that, ma'am, nothing like it. I would highly recommend that, especially for people in healthcare industry, because you need to have high energy level at least for 10 to 12 hours a day.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions from anyone?
Since we don't have questions, sir, in case anyone has any more questions, you can always write to me at kk@live.in. Give a reference that you are from Jupiter Hospital, or you can also WhatsApp me 98208 08424, right? I will put my email ID. It was there in the presentation, but I will just put it in the conversation, and I will also put my mobile number so that in case anyone wants to, they can always ping me. And I have already put it in the conversation, kk@live.in. Kesh sir also has my email address and my mobile number. So in case you want, you can always reach out to me.
Correct. So that brings us to the end of this session. It's really been incredible and wonderful to have you with us. It was such an informative session. We have learned a lot from you. I hope that all the participants must have also had their own notes and would definitely try to cultivate. This is called as sowing a seed. Yeah, and we would like to thank you, for joining us, and a special thanks to you for answering those questions. These are the questions which were asked you behalf of everyone. Okay, and since you have also shared your mobile numbers and email ID, of course, I am also going to share the same with all of them. If we have any queries, if we have any doubts, we would definitely like to reach to you. And with this, I would like to sign off. Thank you very much, KK, once again for joining
Thank you,
us
sir.
and having shared your throughputs to us. It was indeed pleasure for every one of us to connect with you. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Sorry, Akish, I'll just add a last line to
Sure.
this. I would suggest that all of you who have been participating in this presentation, if you note down all the highlighting points of the whole presentation, and if you identify even 10 highlighting key words, and you follow them every day, like the way he showed the cycle of doing the squat, it will help you immensely. It is the
Correct.
compounding effect which always works. Investments do not grow on short term, they only and only grow on long term. So, my sincere request is to sit back, analyze the whole presentation that he gave today, write down your own salient points which you have found out from the presentation, and try to work upon them. Not only with you, along with your colleagues at the hospital or your family members at home. And I'm sure it will certainly spread a huge, huge positivity for your own self, physical and mental, and of course, organizational. So, KK, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr.
Lovely.
Patan.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Dr.
Yeah.
Patanka, for the opportunity. Thank you
Thanks.
very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.